A new generation of Mustang promises more performance and more driving fun, but what sort of fuel economy can you expect if you want to take this thing on a road trip? Well, tonight we're going to find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And tonight we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2024 Ford Mustang GT. In tonight's test, we're going to head out on the highway and do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour, to get you a realistic fuel economy number for this sports car. Now before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. New generation for the Ford Mustang. You're seeing it here in grabber blue. This is a GT Premium, meaning we've got the 450 horsepower tune of the 5-liter V8. We've got a 6-speed manual. We've also got the performance package, giving us some Pirelli, what are these, P0s I assume? Yeah, P0 summer tires, 275s in the rear, 19-inch wheels. We've got the 373 axle ratio. So this one, is not going to be the most fuel-efficient model in the lineup, but it should still be interesting to see what it can do. So if you do want to see more on the car in general, check the link below. We're going to have a dedicated review of the 9-speaker sound system. We're going to have an infotainment breakdown and a full review. All of that will be linked below. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this Mustang 23 miles per gallon, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. Now, we know there are plenty of people who use their vehicles for longer trips and would like to know what sort of numbers you can realistically expect here in the real world. Not only that, but these tests are even more important for manual transmission vehicles because the EPA's fuel economy test requires that you shift at certain points based on speed and RPM with the manual transmissions, but here in the real world, we might be able to drive a little more efficiently, stay in 6th gear, maybe a little bit longer with the torque of this motor, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. So in order to test it out, we're going to head out on the highway here tonight. I've got a test in the evening so that traffic is low. We don't have any chance of slowdowns or too much drafting or anything like that. So we're going to head out and do 100 miles, and then we're going to come back and fill up at the same pump that we used at the beginning using the same 3-click fueling method and get a result. Now, a few things to note for tonight. The tire pressure is going to be set to its door placard. I actually got to check because I'm going to do all that tire pressure setting here later on tonight. And, the temperature is probably going to be about 60 degrees Fahrenheit by this evening. And we're going to run the climate control at 73 degrees auto. So, without any further ado, let's head to the fuel station. Now, interestingly enough, the Mustang does not require premium fuel, even in the Dark Horse model. But even for just this GT, if you look on the EPA's website, they did their tests on regular gasoline. And the car itself right here says 87 plus octane, so we are running this test on regular. Now I know a bunch of people are gonna claim that's sacrilege and heresy, but hey, if Ford has tuned it to run an 87, then gosh darn it, for a road trip we're gonna do 87. 5.203 gallons going in for our first fill. And before we actually start the engine, we're going to turn the vehicle on, reset our trip computer, and get our GPS all set up. Get our climate control set here to 73 auto. And we are ready to begin. And we've got a few different drive modes here in the Mustang. We've got normal, sport, track, drag, slippery, and I think that's it. But we're just going to do this test in normal. And we're going to take it nice and easy over to the highway. It's only about 0.2 miles away. Now the goal of this test isn't to hypermile. We're not trying to get the best possible fuel economy for this car, but rather a realistic figure. So in order to do that, we're going to get up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace and set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 71 miles per hour. That should allow us to average about 70 over the whole test. Obviously no problem getting up to speed here. And I gotta say, after being in the Corvette E-Ray not too long ago, feels pretty quiet in here at highway speeds. You do hear the engine a good bit from that exhaust, but road noise actually is pretty well damped, and the ride is not too bad either. Now we're using our old school gauge cluster here, so don't know exactly what speed we're going to settle in on. Looks like maybe 72. Interestingly, no adaptive cruise control in this model. Even the GT Premium, you still have to get an extra some sort of Ford Copilot 360 package in order to get adaptive cruise control. I think it's a bit disappointing at this price point, about $55,000. Now, it'd be one thing for maybe just the normal GT to not have adaptive cruise control, but the GT Premium? I don't know about that one. But personally, I actually don't mind too much because I don't mind not having adaptive cruise control on the highway. I like to drive. But I think at this price point it should be about expected. But we're going to settle on in and test out this 9-speaker sound system tonight and experience these seats for an hour and a half and catch up with you at the end. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the Mustang GT, I gotta say, I'm actually pretty happy with how good of a cruiser this car is. And side note, I just accidentally turned my heated seat on. Just try to turn this off without having an accident. It's comfortable. The seats are comfortable. The ride is good. It's not that loud in here. I am frustrated by the rattles that we've got around the cabin, but this is a decent place to be. The sound system's not even that bad. This 9-speaker, I'm sure the B&O would be even better, but no, this is a decent place to be on the highway. Cruising just a hair over 2,000 RPM at 71 miles per hour GPS. We're getting 25 miles per gallon, 2 MPG better than EPA according to the vehicle's readout. Odometer's reading a little high. We're about a mile over after nearly 100 miles. But yeah, it's been a smooth, clean test. I don't know. This generation of Mustang just seems like a better cruiser mobile. So we're gonna get this back to the pump, fill it up, crunch some numbers, and see if the pump calculated numbers line up with the vehicle's readout. We ended up putting in 4.063 gallons, so that 100 miles traveled divided by 4.063 is giving us 24.6 MPG, just a hair lower than the 24.8 on the dash. But either way, rounding up to 25, solid 2 miles per gallon better than the EPA said that you'd get on the highway. So, good news there, and honestly not that bad of a figure, especially keep in mind, being able to run 87 octane with no problems with the engine. I mean, this is not a very high-stress turbocharged motor or anything. It's just a good old trundly V8, and that's going to save you a good amount of money there in the long run. We've got a 16-gallon fuel tank in the 24 Mustang, so 16 gallons times 25 miles per gallon. It's giving you an effective highway cruising range of smack dab on to 400 miles. So, I don't know if we'll get a dark horse in here. I'm sure that wouldn't do quite as well. Not necessarily because of the engine tune, but mostly because of the extra aero. Maybe a little bit wider tires on that one. I'd have to check. But I hope we get an EcoBoost in here at some point soon. We can run the same test. That one might get up toward 30. But either way, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.